What's up, guys? I want to talk about Tony Ferguson and the killer instinct he displayed in being defeated. And then I want to talk about Gaethji and what he said at the end, which I think relates to what it means to be a real killer. I saw a lot of things in this fight that I just found fascinating. Number one is Ferguson, not the physical ability to take a punch, right? There's a lot of guys that physically can take the punch, but what you saw in Ferguson in this fight was somebody who could psychologically take the punch. He was getting mauled, especially after round two, just getting hammered in the face again and again and again. And you actually saw him almost like it was a movie. He'd get hit in the face and he'd shake his head to clear the cobwebs. And then he'd come right back. He'd get punched. He was getting just mauled and he just kept coming forward. And I thought, my God, that's what life feels like. That's what life feels like, and that's what life especially feels like right now during COVID-19. We all feel like we're getting battered and bruised. I live in New York City. I've seen, like, when this first started, there were just sirens all day, all night. It was so eerie, and it felt like we were getting punched. And then my girlfriend and I caught the virus, and it was, we weren't the worst cases, but it was not easy, and I'm still battling it to a certain extent because I had some underlying conditions, and I'm watching Ferguson just getting beat, and I thought, nah, I know he's going to lose this fight unless, barring some miracle, but he won in my eyes. He won the fight psychologically. It was inspirational to see somebody get beaten up that bad and keep coming forward. And I'll always remember that. When I'm going through something tough, I'll have that visual of Ferguson he kept coming forward. It's amazing. And at the end, when he finally gets snuffed, he didn't actually go to sleep. He was just, it was close to being put out, and I think the refs stepped in at the right time. But he didn't want to go down, and then Gaethji came over and tries to hug him, and Ferguson at first pushed him away. And Gaethji said, being an asshole will get you nowhere. And Ferguson was steaming, he's pissed. He just lost. He spent 10 years without losing a fight, won 12 straight fights, and he's just pissed off. It's what I talked about in the last video. I was talking about the Pistons walking off the floor, and they don't want to shake hands. You spent a long time getting ready for this fight, and now it's over just like that. And you're kind of down at the bottom of the mountain again. You got to climb back up. It's okay to be pissed off and not feel lovey-dovey. To Ferguson's enormous credit, 2 minutes later, he goes over and hugs Gaethje. He says, sorry, I was just upset. That's how I am too. It usually takes me a little longer to cool down, but he went over, he was hugging Gaethje in his press conference, in his post-fight interview. He was just a gentleman about it. Ferguson was. It was fantastic to see. Heart of a champion, mind of a champion, a true killer, even though he didn't win the fight. It's not about winning and losing all the time. It's about the way you carry yourself in defeat and just taking those punches and keep coming forward. Literally, he kept coming forward. If you see his face looks like what he typically does to other people. Now, Gaethji, what's fascinating about him is he's a true killer. He's the most exciting guy maybe in MMA. Him and Ferguson both are. Well, Gaethji, his early mentality was, listen, I'm just going to go in there. I'm either going to knock somebody the fuck out or I'm going to get knocked the F out, right? I just want to be the most exciting fighter in MMA. That's it. That's all I effing want. And his record showed. He'd go in there, he'd knock people out, but he was exposed a lot. He was really exposed, and he got caught, and he lost some fights. He had no governor on his engine. He was just full tilt the entire time. And it was fun to watch. But the last few fights, he finally said, you know what, if I take a little off my punches, and it's in the corner actually said that to him because the first 2 or 3 rounds, he was throwing 150% on every punch. And his corner said, listen, take 90%. Remember, be precise, and then throw it cleaner. And in the 5th round, before he went out to the 5th round, his coach said, listen, don't go out there crazy. You lost 2 fights because of that. You went out there and you just went nuts. Take your time. Be a professional. So Gaethji's evolved into a killer that's not just level 10. He's modulating his intensity. And that's what real killers do. You're 100% focused, but you don't have to go at a max 10 the whole time. If you're going at a max 10 the whole time and say you play basketball, you would literally sprint as fast as you could down the court, but nobody does that. You typically, if you're bringing the ball up, you're at a nice leisurely pace. So I love seeing that. The ability of someone to adjust, something they've done since he entered MMA, since he was a mixed martial artist. He's just been at that level 10 almost completely. He's learned how to modulate and become a more skilled, I wouldn't say skilled, a more technical, psychologically sound fighter. And now he's talking about winning championships. And I loved when they put this belt on him, it's the interim belt, he threw it on the ground. He said, I don't want that, I want the real thing from Khabib. It was awesome. Now the last thing I'm going to end on is in his post-fight interview. He said, listen, when I'm in here, I'm a killer. And I told my coach before I came out here, I was ready to die, and I understand why Tony's upset. I want to die in here. I don't want the ref to stop it. I'm ready to die in here. Now, if you're not of that mindset, that doesn't make any sense, like die over a sport. But some of you guys get it. I know this sounds crazy, and I'm being completely honest with you, and I'm sure some of you can agree. When I lose a pickup game playing basketball or something, in that like 10-minute moment after I've lost, if you gave me the option, you could go back in time, replay that game and win, but as soon as you win, you would die. Or, you could play more games in the future. I would take the option to go back, replay the game and win, and then die immediately afterwards. That's how much I hate losing. Now, I'm not a professional athlete, so, it has its limitations in someone like me. I take it out in business and so forth, but you hate losing that much. But Gaethje is a killer, and so is Tony. Gaethje was better tonight. Tony's been exposed. My friends and I were talking about this. Tony is really exposed, and he's in danger against somebody who can throw as hard as Gaethje. But Gaethje, this is the last point I want to make. He said, in the ring, I'm a killer, I'm a savage. But outside of the ring, I'm a social services worker. I want to help people. I am someone who believes in God and is kind and loving.
It's about not disappointing myself, my family, and representing God to the best I can, and being a good person, helping my neighbor. That's all I care about. I live every day to help. I have a human services degree. If I wasn't doing this, I'd be doing social work somewhere. I'd probably be a probation officer. I want to work with at-risk youth. I'm a killer in here, but as soon as I step out of this octagon, you will not see that in me.
And in the Killer Instinct program, I talk about that. The ability to compartmentalize in business and sports. I'm a killer. It's competition. Outside of that, I'm trying to be a saint. It's hard to do because sometimes those lines bleed over. Sometimes you see someone, there are a lot of people who speculate that Manny Pacquiao has too much spirituality now and it's affected his fighting. And then there's some people who are so intense. Let's think Steve Jobs, that he wants to be this kind, loving person, but he's so intense he can't quite do it, and he ends up being sort of known as an a-hole throughout his life. So it's a tough way. It's tough to compartmentalize those two, but I think Gaethje's one of the best at it. From everything I hear, he's super kind outside of the ring. Another person who seems to be like that from what I've read is Russell Westbrook. Savage on the court, loving, nice, peaceful guy, kind guy off the court. Anyways, a spectacular UFC fight night. I am so glad sports are back. How about you guys? Let me know in the comment section if you watched the fight. Please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, go to dylanfreed.com for the Killer Instinct program, for business, for sports, for whatever it is you do.